All right, good evening. Driving home, I was trying to listen to Rabbi Yaakov Menashe from Great Neck, who's a very talented speaker, and he has a very pleasant voice. I'll just say that. You know, there's some Rabbanim, they have beautiful things to say, but the way they present it isn't so nice. Whatever it is, it's not their fault. You know, I know I myself, I don't sound that pleasant. I don't think so. Some people say I do, but I don't hear it myself. I don't know. But Rabbi Menashe, even though I haven't listened to him that much, but he just sounds so clear and crisp and perfect. Like it's always a joy to listen to him. I never met him in person, but I really enjoy listening to him. Even though I haven't listened that much to him, to be honest. I found, I got an email and it had a drasha by him, and I wanted to listen to it. It was in Yonah D'Yoma. He was I don't know. I'm not sure how he pronounces it a little bit better than it's so beautiful. Also, how he pronounces the authentic Sephardic pronunciation, everything. It's just a pleasure to listen to Rabbi Menashe. But alas, for some reason, whatever, the connection, it just didn't. It was just buffering and loading too much. I couldn't try to listen to it. It was 34 minutes long, and I just gave up. Earlier today, my wife told me a story, and she said she requested I should make a video telling the story. I'll be honest, I was a little tired. It was hard for me to exactly follow everything that was going on. But she told me that she went to the post office in Bloomingburg, and she was just schmoozing a little with the lady, the postal worker there, and she was saying something about how, it's a little bit more fancy here than it is where we live, and she was trying to schmooze with her a little bit. I'm probably going to get this story wrong. She didn't seem that interested in schmoozing, whatever. She had to pay the rent, and I don't know if she was talking about the post office or the machine that was used to print the money orders, or I'm not sure what it was exactly. But anyway, I prefer to use money orders this way. I know the money's coming out, and I don't have to worry later, even though it costs more than a check. But then, are they going to cash the check right away? Do I have to wait till the check clears and all these? It's such a headache. And since I do so much online things, it's just so much easier to pay the rent with a money order. So that's just my feeling. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I just figured, the $2 whatever for the money order is better than the whatever they charge for overdraft. And Baruch Hashem, I haven't overdrafted in a long time. I remember, it's a funny thing, when I was making a lot of money, I used to overdraft all the time, and then wasn't making as much, and I didn't have that problem. Now, Baruch Hashem, I'm kind of back, not exactly where I started, but pretty close. But I noticed that when you're making more money, it's more difficult than when you're making less money. It's all, but I don't want to be lazy, so I work a lot. And I drive just almost as much as I work, but sometimes it's hard to even put in all the hours. There's a lot of complications, but it is what it is, So, that being said, she said that there was a Chassidish German, like a Rebbeische guy, Schwarze Socken, Platsche Gehid, came into the post office. I'm gonna get the story wrong. I don't know why she couldn't make the video. Lily, you're watching this video now. You make the video. Why am I making it? Well, we make it together. You tell me the story. I don't like to be a cliché-ny, but it is what it is. Especially, I don't quite remember what the story was, but she said it was a very important story that she wanted me to bring out, and I always try to do what my wife tells me to do. Even when I don't. At least I try. So she said that the lady at the post office, she said, oh, the mail's not in yet in the post office boxes. Wait till 10:30. And the guy didn't understand what she was saying, and I don't know, he was trying to mail something for the school, drop something. Well, I don't know exactly what. I don't know. Anyway, at first he didn't understand, and she thought he was being rude, and then my wife explained, the communication, and then everybody was happy, and they started talking and had a nice conversation between each other about the school and things, and it was very polite and nice. And the point that my wife was trying to bring out is that is that all the problems tend to come from lack of communication. The problems in general between the Hasidic community and even other Haredi communities, even those that do speak English well, there's a lack of connection, there's a lack of communication, and what she was saying is, if only there was a way to communicate better, a lot of the issues would be solved. Because, what I'll say about that is that that's how things tend to be in general in life. Meaning, 99% of the time, everybody's on the same page. They just don't know it because they don't know how to communicate. What it seems here is that there's a failure to communicate. That's what's really, that seems to be the crux of so many issues. Because, the fact of the matter is, we, as human beings, we're all pretty much the same, So it's just, all right, so we speak different languages, we have different cultures. Sometimes we use the same words to mean different things. I was talking about that this morning at work. What did I mean? They, What did I make that video about this morning? I don't even remember. I made a video this morning, and then I spoke about it at work today, and it was about the Pisetzner, and how he said he decided when he was 40 years old he wanted to be Megayer, right? I made that video this morning. It's so hard for me to believe this is the third or fourth video today, and it's so hard for me to believe that's the same day, because it was 12 hours ago, more than 12 hours ago, because I would have been at work already by this time 12 hours ago. Baruch Hashem, I'm working hard. I'm trying to, support my family, and I'm engaged in Melechas HaKodesh. Someone asked me tonight, "What are you doing here?" I said, "Well, I'm the rabbi of the nursing home." They said, "Well, there's not that many Jews here." And I'm like, whatever. I do a service Friday. It seems to be pretty popular. I don't know. Whatever, it is what it is. It's very difficult for me to figure all this out. I'm kind of in trouble with a lot of things. Whatever, but Baruch Hashem, people are very nice and friendly and easy to work with, so then what was, so at work, because I was, on Wednesdays I have the spirituality group. Spirituality group, I always try to explain to people, is not a Jewish service, it's not a Jewish study group. It's specifically for all people, for all different religions or no religion at all. And even though sometimes I will discuss my own religion, which I did today, I also try to discuss other religions or other spiritual paths, including non-religious spiritual paths, including totally skeptical spiritual paths, which I still believe, at least under the definition that the state gives us for these spirituality groups, to be spiritual. Because the state gives the spirituality groups, they say spirituality for these spirituality groups is whatever makes your life meaningful. And there's so many things that make our lives meaningful, and it's not only religion. And I was listening today to after, this was later, I was, preparing for my sermons and things for Yom Kippur and I was listening to Neil deGrasse Tyson address a skeptics convention, and I don't know why I brought that up, but what I can say is that Neil deGrasse Tyson is clearly a very spiritual person. Certainly, as we define, he strives to make his life very meaningful and important, and it was quite interesting, and I enjoyed listening to it. Even if I disagree with certain points that he might have brought up, it was quite pleasant. And I think it's important for people to listen to views that they disagree with. This way they can be challenged. This way they can understand themselves better. There's so many benefits to listening every now and then. And I know a lot of people disagree with me with this. I was watching a video. There's a series of videos speaking to various religious leaders throughout the world, including very major religious leaders as well as others. I don't know if any of them are particularly minor, but what's it called? The Elijah Project or the Isaiah Project? I don't remember what it's called. I think it's called the Elijah Project. The Elijah Project is to open up interfaith dialogue and friendship, and to promote peace in the world through interfaith dialogue. And it's apparently coming from Israel, and apparently it seems to be spearheaded by Orthodox Jews. I'm not quite sure about that. So then there are these dialogues, there are these questions and answers. It's on YouTube with different religious leaders. And I watched a video of, what's his name, David Lau, who they call the chief rabbi of Israel, which to me is a meaningless position. Whatever, it is what it is. So, what was I talking about this? So they were interviewing David Lau, and he said, they asked him, is it good to learn about other religions? He said, well, you gotta learn about your own religion first before you start learning about other religions. And he said some other thing, but he said it's important to be friendly with people of other religions, and be peaceful and all these things. Obviously, I mean, that goes without saying, come on. But he was saying something about how to him it's not that important to learn about other religions, but to me, I find that you grow in your own religion and learn about yourself by studying those that you disagree with. But anyway, we're talking about how the Piasetzner, Hashem Yimkum Damai, decided when he was 40 years old that he wanted to be a ger. And we were discussing, one of my patients said, well, that means he felt that he sinned and he had to repent and renew his connection to God. I said, I mean, certainly all the tzaddikim are humble people, and that would be a term of humility that even if he was, and I said, and this offended this this young man, I said, I think that Pete Sessner was definitely a much better Jew than any of us. He didn't like hearing that. But he doesn't like hearing a lot of things, so whatever, it doesn't matter. But I'm apologizing. I'm kind of just talking just to keep myself awake and from falling asleep on the road, because I think about another 25 minutes left till I get home. 20 minutes. I gotta also stop and get gas, because I can't really do that in the morning. I gotta do that at night on my way home. That's just how it works. 20 minutes from home without the gas stop. Oh, this thing's still on. Let's turn that off. So, but what I said, what it means is like the other story I told. Like, if he found out he wasn't really Jewish, he would decide he wanted to convert. And as opposed to the question is, would the average Jew, and and on the comments, and I love the comments. I appreciate they're just wonderful comments, and it's just uplifting to read these comments. And I really appreciate all the commentators on this. But what was I saying? The comments, one person said, the secular Jews have to ask this question, and the other one said, no, the secular are probably better off with this question than the religious people are. And how happy are the religious people? And it's a question we got to ask ourselves. I don't really know, whatever it is, but I had a knee-jerk reaction to say, Bali Tshuva tend to be very happy, but the thing is, I also, I discussed the difference in the comments between pride and joy. I think a lot of people have Jewish pride, but how many people have Jewish joy? And he pointed out even the Hasidim seem to be lacking in this, and sometimes it seems to be fake or phony. I don't know, it's hard to say, but in general, the Bali Tshuva, they tend to have it, the Gerim tend to have it, but after a while you get burnt out, certain people feel that they get burnt out, and whatever. It was interesting, I was listening to, what's that fellow's name? Binyamin Blech. And he said, in all the years he was a Rav, he never felt that he got burnt out. Baruch Hashem, good for him. It was an honor meeting him at the New York Board of Rabbis. So anyway, come on, let's figure out what am I talking about here. So at work, I started discussing how, other traditions have different approaches to this. Meaning, in Judaism, you're born a Jew, you're stuck as a Jew. You don't really have much of a choice if you're born Jewish. And other religions, they'll baptize babies. Catholics do that, and many Protestants do that. And then you have other religions where they specifically only baptize adults. And the Baptists, the Mormons will baptize children, but not babies. They wait until they're 8, 9 years old, 7, 8, 9 years old. They're old enough to make decisions on their own, and they're not, at least they can talk, and articulate themselves and explain how they really feel, and make decisions. And I talked about the Amish and how they have Rumspringa, and even after Rumspringa, most of the Amish kids, they decide they want to be Amish. Even after they've seen the world, they come back and decide, they want to keep their traditions. And then the interesting thing is you have the in-between crowd that they don't run away from the community, but they also don't get baptized, so they kind of have the best of both worlds, as they could see it. Meaning they're serving their community, they love their community, they're proud of their community, but they just don't live like them, but they're able thereby in certain cases to help them in ways that others can't. I mean, I see that like in my own home, you know, the chesed that my wife does. You know, I spoke to both Admorim from Satmar, and incidentally, both Satmar Rebbitzins have been in my wife's car, and you know, they didn't have a problem where we're coming from and so forth, and our background with my wife driving, and the kids go to school, and everybody knows that my wife drives. And the thing is, to a certain extent, like, people kind of take advantage, like, you know, because you can drive, so now you got to drive me everywhere, and it's just like, what are we doing with it? All right, whatever, I'll leave that to her to complain about. It's not my job to complain about. It seems to be sometimes people take advantage, but it is what it is. Whatever. Baruch Hashem, we get to do mitzvahs, we get to do chesed, right? Like I said, the story, I went to Muncie, I went to do Kapparas, and I didn't get to do Kapparas, but I did a much bigger mitzvah, and Baruch Hashem, I did Kapparas. I'm thinking Fridays, might still want to do the kind of mitzvah of Kisei Adam, as a Groise Zach, you know, the old Biala Rebbe, you know, but Baruch Hashem, I swung a chicken over my head and I paid for it, and I swung a chicken over my daughter's head. So, by me it was a rooster. I was looking into that rooster's eyes. There was something going on there. I don't know. I sound crazy now, but whatever it is, I'm just being honest. So the Amish, they make the decision later. We're stuck with it, and how do you? Same thing being American. If you're born an American citizen, and I said, so like one of the patients said, well, Jewish is an Amish. I said, no, of course it isn't. First of all, Amish are Christian, and we're not Christian, and but we have some things in common. Our Tanakh is a major part of their Old Testament, and we have beards and black hats and black clothes, and speak Germanic Germanic language, But I didn't mention that part. But whatever it is, but obviously we're different, and that's what comparative religion is about: is comparing things that are different. You compare things that are different. That's how life is. Not everything's the same. Although we sure get confused for Amish quite often. Even I've been confused with Amish with the Strimal on. I don't know what that was about. It's certainly not plain clothes to have a Strimal and a blue Bekisha and white socks. Alright, whatever it is, I don't know. That was in Virginia, once at Whole Foods. Also, it was a weekday, but I had a blue Bekisha and a Reicha Bieber hit. And someone asked me if I was from Iraq, or I don't know. Baruch Hashem, I don't get offended by these things. People all the time, they're like, I don't mean to offend you. Are you Jewish? Like, why would that offend me? Well, I don't get offended by almost nothing. Very few things offend me. I get offended once in a while, and I get sittered, and I get nervous and angry, but I very rarely get offended. Even people say horrible, disgusting things, and it just rolls right off my back. It really doesn't bother me that much. Sometimes I just laugh it off. I sometimes don't even laugh. I'm so numb, I don't even care. But Baruch Hashem, whatever it is, gotta say Baruch Hashem all the time. It makes a big yichud, like we said in the story, the Chayelo story. So anyway, what are we talking about here? I don't even know anymore. The point is, we gotta learn how to communicate. We gotta, and people just get annoyed. We try these things and just, it is what it is. We just gotta be thankful for what we got. It was so nice. I got an invitation today to participate in an ecumenical Thanksgiving service. I'm really looking forward to it. I enjoyed it. 2 years ago I went. Last year it was a bad storm, and I wasn't able to make it out. I couldn't even go out the door. The roads were so treacherous. I don't know if they even had the thing. I wasn't feeling well, but I felt so bad because I really wanted to go. This year I told him as long as I don't have a wedding, I would like to go. I'm looking forward to going. It is what it is. What are we talking about here? I don't even remember. My wife said we gotta learn to communicate, and that's the key to so many conflicts in life. There would be wars that wouldn't be fought if people just learned how to communicate. This is the one thing I don't like from Rabbi David Bar Chaim, even though I feel he has certain moral authority in a lot of things, but his Zionism is just too extreme for me. It's not my cup of tea. I was impressed though that he quoted Rabbi Fisher from the Chareidis. That did impress me. That kind of endeared him to me. I don't know. Rabbi Siegel was telling me that he was friends with him. He's not anymore. All right, whatever it is. We can all agree to disagree. That's the other thing. I can even listen to Jewish people I disagree with. So, what was I saying? I mean, he's so just jingoistic. It seems, that's the best term I could think. We don't want to fight, but by jingo, if we do, we got the things, we got this, whatever, I don't know, whatever we got the guns, we got the men, we got the money too. What is that to the song? I don't know. I remember they put that in the history books. All the history books always had that. Every social studies book has that little poem, and it's not that good, and it's really quite sad. All right, ladies and gentlemen, what do I gotta say here? What are we talking about? You see, I'm just rambling on. I'm already up to Machne Kayetz. I used to work here when I was a kid. This is Cooper's Corner Road. Almost home. Homeward bound. I got a bunch of text messages I gotta answer. I just want to go to sleep already. I don't even want to eat dinner. Well, thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. And leave comments, even the nasty comments. They're a lot of fun. Once in a while, they get too much, especially if it's attacking someone else. Then I got to erase them. Once in a while, I've deleted comments, but for the most part, I'm happy, especially to hear comments I disagree with. But here's our question. It's always good to ask questions, and then put the questions. So you put the answers in the comments, then people really feel like commenting, and I think that does something for the algorithms. I don't know. What do I know? Anyway, how do we open up lines of communication? All about, not just about the Hasidic community and the secular community and this and that. Not just talking about that. In general, in life. How do we open up? And if we want to talk specifically parochially about that, that's also fine. How do we open up lines of communication? How do we do it? Does anybody know? I certainly don't know. Although I'll tell you the truth, most of the time, for sure in my younger years, I saw that there was a time in my life that God gave me a gift to open up lines of communication. I don't feel that I have that today as I used to when I was younger, and I think that has something to do with age and losing brain cells. I don't know. I really don't know. I'm honest. I'm only 33 though. Like, why would it be that when I was 25, I was able to understand those things better, or I was just fooling myself back then, and now I know better that I don't understand and I don't have the answers to these things. don't know. So what do you folks think? How can people open up lines of communication? Because I remember many times, I don't even remember the details, that just people seem to be disagreeing, and all I had to do was it was just a semantics issue. How do you explain? And I was able to like really help people, or sometimes they just didn't want to, sometimes they didn't understand me either. But I felt I understood that I could answer. And is it an empathetic thing? Is where does it come from? You know, these are the type of things like Jimmy talks about on Bright Insight. He's a really interesting young man. I'm very fascinated by his teachings, and there's a lot to learn there. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please like, share, and subscribe, comment, answer our question: how do we open up lines of communication? And a special thank you to my lovely, talented, beautiful wife for an intelligent wife, for offering this subject as something to talk about, and she's been commenting recently, and she's probably going to correct me of all the mistakes I made with this story, because I totally forgot details. I really wasn't, my attention span just wasn't there at the time when I was listening to it, and I apologize for that. Thank you for watching. God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe, and whatever else, you know, it is what it is. Thank you, and God bless you.